Welcome in. We're the Meltdown here with yet another 2024 movie review. This one a straight to streaming affair, and it is one that tackles the hustle and bustle of the holiday season, but things kind of go awry for our main character. I am Tim Melton. Joining me here in studio, as always, in the Culver studio is Mr. Tyler Lionel Johns. I bring up that middle name for a very particular reason here in just a few moments. This is a thriller in Carry On that centers around Ethan Kopech, a young TSA agent who gets blackmailed by a mysterious traveler to let a dangerous package slip through security and on to a Christmas Day flight. It stars Taron Egerton and Jason Bateman, along with an entire cast of characters there. Tyler, I'm going to let you have first swing at this. What did you think of Carry On, which we watched on Netflix in separate residences last night?
It kind of feels like a modern take on almost Die Hard. You've got this lone security officer taking on a terroristic threat way above his pay grade, and maybe not quite to the level of Die Hard, but it was like if you mix the tones between Die Hard and Paul Blart Mall Cop, I feel like you get Carry On, and it's a really good time, very engaging, very tense the whole way through. I enjoyed it.
For me, it's a mix of Die Hard 2, which actually has an airport theme,
Yeah,
and Scream
yeah.
because of the way
Anybody can be the killer.
anybody can be the killer, but the way the direction is taking place of, well, do you really want to act out a character right now? Do you really want you can't save the people you love if you don't listen to my instructions, that sort of thing. Let's talk about Jason Bateman's performance in this because he is the probably the biggest star of the production, especially with it being a Netflix property. This is a guy that has Ozark in his background, which was a huge smash hit there for Netflix. And I thought he was fantastic in this menacing role.
Oh yeah.
It's mean-spirited, it's evil what he's trying to accomplish and the lengths he'll go to accomplish his goal. It's very calculated, but he is a person that maybe when you first think of a role like this, you don't think Jason Bateman would be perfect for it, but I think it was perfect casting, Tyler.
Absolutely perfect casting. You see some of this sort of character in Ozark because he is on the wrong side of the law in Ozark and has to be calculated and cunning and plan out his wrongdoings to not get caught. And same deal in this movie, except to a much more mean spirited level, like you said. And I think it just hits so hard when it's coming from Jason Bateman, who is typically the blunt, logical, straight-laced character throughout, other performances he's in.
Meanwhile, Taron Egerton has to be the one that's on the other side of that ruthlessness, and his panic that you can
Oh,
feel
yeah.
overtaking his body to where he has to act out character in front of all these other characters that he has positive relationships with. He's a well-liked guy. He's not a loner. He's someone who maybe could apply himself more, as is made
Definitely.
very clear, but he's a very likable guy with a good relationship and a lot to lose potentially,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is what makes the Jason Bateman Taron Egerton relationship in this so compelling. We're going to get into some really heavy spoiler thoughts here on the production of Carry On. This is from the same director who did the Blake Lively movie The Shallows, which is a movie I really, really like. It's a great shark movie. And so this is a fun one on Netflix. And it really does promise to be sort of that 90-minute old school action thriller that you used to get in the 80s and 90s. And I think it delivers on
Oh,
that
yeah.
very much.
It definitely does.
I want to get into some very specifics, though. I love the way the DreamWorks logo goes into the aerial shot, overlooking the entire
Mhm.
city and getting you ready for this. I know it's a very small thing, but while I'm watching it, I'm going, man, please go straight into the movie from this aerial shot. And it did that. Bruce Springsteen's Santa Claus is Coming to Town is playing immediately when you go in. This movie has a great holiday soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they spared no expense getting some of the Christmas bangers as a part of this, and really, that is what puts you in the holiday mood. That's what really makes this a holiday movie because this could be set any time of the year for the most part. It's that Christmas feeling of the soundtrack that I think they get really right. The Christmas farm burning, the Christmas tree farm burning with the visual effects, the glass breaking, and Jason Bateman coldly going to his car, I thought worked really well. I laughed very hard when the uh, law enforcement officer handed Taron Egerton that stain pen, and then he thanked him by saying his name, and his name was Lionel, a name we affectionately call Tyler here for some reason at the offices. Jason Bateman has a great tense voice in this. His voice acting is as important as his physical acting in this, and it's wonderful.
You could say even more important for this film because for the most part, he's on the phone. He's not uh like front and center of the frame acting or doing something until later on.
That is absolutely correct, and it's not just the vocal aspects of phone communication in this that are highlighted. I loved how the text popped up on the screen
Mhm.
every now and then. That's done a lot in The Shallows, which is why I brought up that movie. It's a device, a plot device to let you know exactly what's going on in the character's life without having to have that exposition. It can just be popped up on the screen there, and it's done really well. I thought the texting and driving sequence with the detective, when she's driving and the text message is blocking the
Yeah.
window, I've never seen that used in a movie.
I haven't either, but that was great.
No, I was freaking out. I was like, "Are you watch the road, watch the" I was fell right into the trap of forgetting I was watching a movie. It was really, really good. I love the comedy in this that's not so subtle with when he's screening the passenger talking to Jason Bateman and he's like, "Go to hell." And then the passenger's like, "I didn't say anything." Like, "Why is he yelling at me like this?" That was really funny.
That was such a good line.
And one thing that I just was totally not prepared for was the car fight sequence, the action sequence
Wow.
that hooked. That was tremendous. They're punching each other out, they're shooting each other, they're choking each other. There's cars hitting other things. Now,
It
I
looked like something out of GTA.
you know what it gave me sense of?
What?
2022's The Batman, where,
Oh
like,
yeah.
that chase with the Penguin, it kinda had that same sort of carnage. Now, once again, there's gotta be people injured and really critically hurt and, like, potentially dead from all of that, and they don't focus on any of the aftermath. It's just about the rush of what was going on, but very well shot sequence there.
The camera positioning reminded me a lot of, I don't know, did you see, Bad Boys 4 this year, Bad
I
Boys
did.
Ride or Die? Yeah, that scene from the point of the view of the, barrel of the gun.
Correct.
Yes. Oh, such a good sequence. That's what this car chase reminded me of.
Yeah, sometimes movies and video games, they can share cinematic quality that make
Mhm.
you feel really immersed in the action, and that Bad Boys sequence for sure felt like a video game type sequence that worked well cinematically, it felt fresh, and this car sequence, I was not expecting that in a straight to streaming movie, that being that good.
Yeah.
This is a compliment, but a criticism as well. If there's my biggest problem with this movie is that it was straight to streaming, is that I would have
I would have
loved.
loved to see this in the theater. Do you know how many dog water movies I've sat through because they just didn't push anything else out to the theater? I would have gone ballistic for this to be in the theater. This would have been such a great time.
That's my biggest problem is that while more people will see it this way, because they
Mhm.
can just click play, there's no barrier to entry for this movie. Man, I would have loved to have seen it on the big screen.
At least a limited release. I
Yeah,
mean, they're doing that for, Amelia Perez, right?
maybe they are. I don't know. I won't be seeing it in theaters. I'll tell you that.
Well, for awards purposes, I mean.
Correct. They have to release, you have to release in theaters in two markets at least, New York and Los Angeles, to be considered for awards purposes there. But so that's why Amelia Perez will get that. But Carry On Man is a fun, fun movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's a really smart, dumb movie, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
premise is kind of goofy. They handle it in a way that's with such sternness and seriousness to where you're along for the ride. And man, I wanted to buckle up and go right on that ride again. It's silly. The resolutions are silly. The movie it at times shifts from being very dramatic in tone to very funny. The SoundCloud rapper
Oh my
when
gosh.
he gets stabbed, right? And you're like, oh no, that's sad for that guy.
Check my mixtape out on SoundCloud, Patreon.
Patreon, the Patreon
Man,
line
it's so good.
owned me. I thought it was so funny. I found myself being thrilled, laughing. I mean, this movie really delivers. I mean, it is a movie that brings you right to the destination you're hoping to go to. And I highly recommend this. The only thing that keeps it from being nearly a perfect experience for me is the fact that I watched it on my couch at home instead of at the theater, which is my favorite place to go to watch a big movie like this. And I thought it had the production quality to warrant that big screen release. I know
Mhm.
Netflix, that's not their model, but man, I would have loved that. My other minor complaint is I would have liked a maybe a little bit more with the Jason Bateman death sequence.
Yeah, that would have been nice. I felt like they barely fought in that scene, and then all of a sudden, Jason Bateman's in the fridge with the nerve gas, and that's all she wrote.
I have no problem with him being undone by the nerve gas, but there were almost no visual effects
Yeah.
added to that. It was there was a little bit of makeup through the glass. You could see a little bit of maybe fake blood, but I really think if they wanted to hit it home, make it look like a gnarly skeleton dude at the end or something. I don't know. Give it a little bit more of an impact other than, okay, it's over. He's done. I mean, we've been with him the whole movie. We've been with
Right.
him and Taron Egerton the whole movie. Give me just a little bit more in the Jason Bateman death sequence.
I mean, we had a longer fight with, Theo Rossi's character in the van.
That is correct.
I mean, his death sequence took longer.
It did. I would have liked a little bit more punch there, or something visually that was a little bit more jarring for a movie that I think had such a great tempo to it, and is one that I can recommend to a whole lot of people, which also excites me a lot. My first reaction after seeing Carry On is I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5.
Wow.
That's how
Wow.
much fun I had with this movie.
Okay.
It is exciting, there's twists and turns, there's multiple times where you're putting yourself in the character's sort of point of view going, "This is what I would do," and then the character tries to do that, and it doesn't work, and it really is always playing a couple of steps ahead, and I think it's got a great tenseness, tempo, cast. I mean, you feel a lot of connection with these characters. I'm a big fan of it, and I'm going a 4.5 out of 5, which would make it probably one of my favorite movies of the year.
Yeah, that would put it really high up there, and I think this is a great movie as well. I'm only gonna go 4 stars.
It's still great.
Yeah, like, my initial reaction, I thought, "That was great," but I don't know if that was, like, world class,
Right.
but great leads, great supporting cast with Theo Rossi and also Dean Norris, AKA ASAC Hank Schrader. I
Yeah.
loved seeing him. I wanted more of his character in the movie. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go 4 out of 5. This feels like a return to that classic 80s, 90s action thriller movie where guy gets the girl at the end and it's wrapped up in a nice little bow in 90 sec or not 90 seconds, 90 minutes. 90 seconds would be a fast
Yeah.
movie.
You can't even get through a TSA checkpoint in 90 seconds,
That's true.
much less the actual movie, which who knows? Is this some sort of psyop for TSA registrars to get there and like become TSA agents because they saw this movie? And it's like,
Oh,
that's just me
it's
putting,
like it's doing for the
yeah,
TSA what the show Cops did for
right.
police.
That's just me putting out a weird sort of what if thing there. But I do feel like if you're a TSA agent, you watch this, you got to have even more connection to the source material and have a lot of fun with it. So, once again, it's a holiday movie that I would consider to be the best holiday movie we've gotten of 2024 that I've seen personally. I haven't seen all of them, but this is the one that I am more likely to go back to than any other holiday movie that's come out this year. Have you seen Carry On? What did you think about it? I thought for what it was, it did its job perfectly at being a very tense psychological action thriller with a really fun setup and a really fun delivery there. So a 4.5 out of 5 for me for a 5-star experience. You can visit our title sponsor, that's my bookie, where you can bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. We've got all these games going on, plenty of time in the holiday season sit back, watch some of these bowl games, have a little action there on the table with my bookie at mybookie.ag. Make sure you use that promo code next round for that deposit bonus. They're going to treat you right there at mybookie.ag. That does it for us here in our review of Carry On. Have you seen it? What do you think? Let us know in the comment section below and make sure you subscribe here to the Meltdown.